Welcome to Western Sports and Recreation. My name is Tim Tabor and I'll be your host. Today we're going to look at Snow Canyon State Park, located just a few miles northwest of St. George, Utah. This relatively unknown and beautiful park has quite a bit to offer. It has hiking, biking, some climbing areas, a sand dune, and 3 picnic areas, including a campground. What we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the geology of the area, we're going to look a little bit about the climate, then I'll explain some of the hiking areas of the park. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Although first found in the 1850s by pioneers while searching for cattle, Snow Canyon State Park was inhabited by Anasazi Indians, then by Paiutes from about 200 AD until the coming of the pioneers in the 1850s. Throughout the park are petroglyphs, remnants of ancient cultures, some dated as old as 6,000 years. Examples of these petroglyphs can be seen near the park headquarters. On a short trail towards the south end of the park is the Pioneer Names Trail. It will take you to a small alcove where some of the pioneers left their names written in axle grease. Between 190 and 183 million years ago, as a result of large silt, mud, and sand-bearing rivers that flowed through this part of Utah, the shallow basin that made up this area was filled with sediment from these rivers. The even reddish-orange slopes found in the southern part of the canyon are made up of siltstone, mudstone, and fine-grained sandstone deposited millions of years ago. These relatively flat layers of sediment make up what is known by geologists as the Kayenta Formation. Over a period of hundreds of thousands of years and probably many millions of years, the climate around what would become Snow Canyon started to change. What was once the marshy flats of rivers started to assume the appearance of wind-swept sandy deserts. About 183 million years ago, sands picked up by the winds from the north-northeast began to accumulate in sand dunes up to 2,500 feet high. After millions of years of heat, pressure, and water, these sand dunes cemented into the petrified dunes of the Navajo Sandstone Formation. The majority of sedimentary rock in Snow Canyon is Navajo sandstone. The Navajo sandstone can vary in color from reddish-orange to white. The sandstone gets its color from iron oxides in the sand. The white streaks you see running through the sandstone and the white sandstone cliffs at the north end of the park are caused by a lack of these iron oxides. There are 3 possible theories to explain this lack of color. The first suggests that the iron oxides had the same source in the sand and with time became depleted of the iron oxides. The second is that at one time all the rocks were red, and as groundwater ran through the sandstone, it leached out the iron oxides. The third possible explanation is that iron oxides were brought in by water and was circulated through the sandstone. We will probably never know how the process actually happened, but however it happened, the contrasting cross-bedding of colors adds to the spectacular view. The volcanic basalt that you see throughout the park was erupted from volcanoes between 3 million years ago and 1,000 years ago. There were 3 distinct phases of the flows. The 2 oldest layers were erupted between 1 and 2 million years ago. The oldest of these formed the plateau to the east of State Route 18 east of the park. Next is the plateau that State Route 18 was built on. If you look east from the Galoot picnic area at the north central part of the park, you can see massive columns of basalt on the eastern plateau. The youngest, known as the Santa Clara flow, is estimated to be around 1,000 years old, and is the lava flow that makes up much of the canyon floor. This flow erupted as a breach eruption from the 2 cinder cones at the north end of the park. The first cinder cone can be scaled via a moderate trail that goes around the cone and eventually takes you to the crater located at the top. Snow Canyon is also unique in that it occupies 3 distinct ecosystems. The southern end of the park is the Mojave ecosystem. In the middle of the park is the Great Basin ecosystem, and the upper end of the park is the Colorado Plateau. Each of these unique ecosystems has their own unique plants and wildlife. Snow Canyon's climate in general is considered high desert. Highs in the summer can reach 110 degrees plus, and lows in the winter can dip well below freezing. Temperatures on any given day can have 30 degrees of change from day to night. Being a desert, this area gets very little rain, but when the rain does come, the desert puts on a colorful show. But if the rain really comes down, as it can create instantaneous flash floods. And if the cold and the rain come at the same time, the whole look of the park can change. Now that we've explored the geology and climate of the area, let's look at the recreation and trails that are available. At the south end of the park are a couple of trailheads. The first of these is the Whiptail Trail, a 3-mile paved trail that starts at the south gate and extends to the parking area at the Upper Galoot picnic area. This is the only trail that is handicapped accessible and is the most widely used. This is also the only trail that allows bicycling in the park. Although bicycling on the main road through the park is an excellent way to strengthen your climbing abilities, with over 1,000 feet of vertical in less than 5 miles. On any given day, you will see runners, hikers, and bicyclists enjoying this trail as it takes you through the diverse sections of the park. Also, starting at the south end of the park is the Johnson's Arch Trail. This easy trail takes you across the Santa Clara lava flows to Johnson's Canyon, a short boxed canyon about 1 mile from the trailhead, and to the most magnificent arch in the park. This 200-foot semi-freestanding arch is located at the entrance of the canyon and is a great place to just sit and relax in the quiet splendor of this canyon. Because of the height of the cliffs and the narrowness of the canyon, very little outside noise filters in. Johnson's Arch Trail is a seasonal trail and is only open from November 14th to March 1st. The Johnson's Arch Trail is also the trailhead for Scouts Cave Trail, a 3-mile round trip. This trail takes you to several caves carved out of the rock by water on the far cliffs to the east. Short distance from the south entrance is Jenny's Canyon. This easy half-mile hike takes you to a short, easily accessible slot canyon. This is a great little canyon that demonstrates the power that water has on the sandstone. What probably started out as a trickle of water into a crack in the sandstone formed this beautiful and very peaceful canyon. A little further up the canyon is Sand Dunes Picnic Area. Not only a nice place to enjoy an afternoon picnic, this is a home to an active sand dune. Sand dune is an example of the reverse process that created the park. The same water and wind that formed the park are actively breaking down the sandstone cliffs. The sand at these dunes were once part of the sandstone cliffs that you see around you. The wind is constantly changing the sand dunes. They are never the same each day. If these sand dunes look familiar, you may remember them from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Snow Canyon has been the location for numerous TV shows and films. Sand Dunes parking area is also the trailhead for the West Canyon. This 7-mile round-trip road follows the westernmost canyon and is used by both park employees and Ivan City employees to service the many water wells that help bring water to Ivans. This part of the park is also the least visited and in many ways the most scenic. The West Canyon follows the lowermost section of the lava flows into a part of the canyon that has the most exposed cliff faces. Although closed to motorized vehicles, this road can be accessed by foot, bicycle, or by horseback. It will give the trekker access to areas that most visitors know nothing about, including Hanging Valleys, Three Ponds Trail, and after a rain, an occasional waterfall. The Pioneer Names Trail mentioned earlier is a short trail that leads to a small alcove with the names of some early settlers written in axle grease. This trail also leads to one of the most popular climbing areas in the park called the Circus Wall. These climbs with names like Pygmy Pit, Living on the Edge, and Aftershock range from intermediate to expert climbs. Remember, any climbing should only be attempted after getting the proper training and using proper equipment. Watching climbers on the walls can be one of the biggest spectator sports in the park. Just at the outer fringes of the Parks Authority and Red Cliffs Desert Reserve is another popular climbing area called Checkawalla. Just up the road and across from the park headquarters is a Hidden Pinyon Trail and the trailhead for the Three Ponds Trail. The Hidden Pinyon Trail is a moderate 1.5-mile trail. This self-guided trail is a good short hike that will introduce you to the geology and the plants of the park. If you are taking small children, be aware that there are some rocky slopes and drop-offs. If you choose to follow the Three Ponds Trail, it is a moderate trail with some harder areas in the sandy washes. This 3-mile trail is the most diverse trail in the park. This trail starts out crossing the Santa Clara lava flow, and after a short, easy climb, the trail levels out on an outcropping of Navajo sandstone. Take time to follow some of the short trails that take you out onto some of the sandstone ridges. These ridges offer some spectacular views of the West Canyon and interesting formations in the area. The trail eventually starts downhill, then a walk through a sandy wash with some outstanding views of towering sandstone cliffs on both sides. The trail follows the wash to a set of 3 potholes carved out of a large sandstone outcrop. During the rainy season, these potholes fill with water, and when flowing can create cascading waterfalls between the potholes. Across from the trailhead is the park headquarters. This is also the location for the campgrounds. There is camping spots suitable for the largest RV to the tent camper. The park offers a variety of nature hikes and activities for all ages, including activities for the local school kids. A little further north from the headquarters is the Petrified Dunes Trailhead. This 1-mile moderate trail gives a visitor access to many of the petrified sand dunes in the park. This is the most popular and easily accessed trail in the park. Once on the dunes, the trail is less defined and opens up for the visitor to explore. During the rains, a large number of pools form in the indentations in the sandstone. This is a wonderful area to just sit and look or hike with friends. The last trail in the park is the Lava Flow Overlook in White Rocks Trailhead. The trailhead is a moderately difficult trail with uneven surfaces and some rocky spots on the trail. The White Rocks Trail leads to the white cliffs that are at the north end of the park and is the location of a natural amphitheater at the end of a short canyon. One of the pioneers built a small dam here to catch the natural runoff after a rain. This part of the park also can be accessed from a trailhead just off State Route 18 at the north end of the park. The Lava Flow Overlook Trail takes you to the edge of the lava fields with a great view of the West Canyon. These tubes formed when the outer surfaces of the lava cooled while the interior remained fluid, leaving hollow tubes in its place. Over time, sections of the roofs of the tubes collapsed, leaving openings into the tubes. These tubes are accessible to the public but can require some climbing and caving experience. A large collapse on one of these tubes about a mile from the trailhead is easily accessible for most park explorers. The entrance to any of the tubes can be extremely dangerous. With numerous rocks and very sharp outcrops, you want to use caution when doing any exploring. Never enter any of these tubes without letting someone know where you are and when you're going to be out. Snow Canyon is an extremely diverse place to spend the day with family and friends, or just by yourself exploring the many different areas of the park.